Hi, in this video I'm going to go over some of the steps and techniques for colorizing a black and white photo using quick mask, selections, and adjustment layers and other techniques. This video tutorial will help you accomplish this week's graded homework assignment. So I've selected this image from the Vintage Stock website. And as I opened it, the first thing I notice is that it is in grayscale mode. If I look up here, it says gray. If you open up your image and it is also in grayscale mode, you want to change the color mode to RGB simply by going to Image, Mode, RGB Color. Now that we're in RGB color, we can proceed with our selection techniques. So the first step in colorizing a black and white photo is to make a selection. There are many different selection tools, many different selection techniques. It all depends on the object that you're selecting. In this case, I'm going to start with the coat. For the coat, I'm going to use the quick selection tool, and it's over here in your toolbar, right there. It's bundled with the magic wand, but you want the quick selection tool. It is a brush, so your right and left bracket keys will allow you to change the size of the brush. And I'm simply going to go over the coat, adjusting the brush size to try to grab the selection of the coat. If there are certain areas that you do not want selected, notice there's a plus sign on the quick selection brush. If I hold down Alt or Option, I get a minus sign, which allows me to remove parts of the selection. I can remove this part. Command plus to zoom in. Left bracket, make the brush smaller and include this part. Option key, remove that part. And I have a basic selection of the coat. So step one is to make a selection using any selection tool or technique that allows you to get the selection quickly. The second step is to load a hue saturation adjustment layer. So it's down here, hue saturation. If you notice, it now creates a layer mask based on the selection that I made. Here are the properties for the hue saturation adjustment layer. The first thing you want to do is check the box that says colorize so it can start to force color within that selection. Your hue slider allows you to change the color. So maybe I want the coat to be blue, saturation, and your lightness slider adjust those properties. Now that you have the basic color there, the first thing you want to do is to name the layer. I'm going to rename this coat. You're going to have a lot of these adjustment layers, so it's important that you keep them named. Next, notice the layer mask. White indicates where you're seeing the color, black indicates where you're not seeing the color. So as I take a look at what I just colorized, if you notice here, got colorized, I don't want the blue here. So since it's a matter of black and white, black hides, white shows, I can switch to my brush tool, or the letter B, click on the mask, and with the black brush, I can hide or remove the color from that area. So once the color is in place as a hue saturation adjustment layer, it's just a matter of editing the mask with a black or white brush to touch up the color. As you see here on the collar, some of the blue spilled over, so I want to hide that. I'm going to use black to hide. I don't really want the buttons to be included in the blue, so I'm going to use a black brush on that portion as well. Also here in the shadows, black to hide. We don't want blue in the shadows. Now that I've isolated the color just to the portion of the image that I want, his coat, and the layer is named, there's a couple of things that you can do. One, you can experiment with blending modes. Right now, the blending mode is set to normal. And then when you click on normal, there are many blending modes that you can experiment with. And what the blending mode does, it affects or changes how this color blends with the background layer, being the original image underneath it. You can cycle through the blending modes by clicking on the list and choosing the next one down and just manually going through the list. I'm going to put it back to normal because there is a keyboard shortcut that goes through the list. All you have to do is be on the layer and select your Move tool. And then the keyboard shortcut is Shift minus or Shift plus. Okay. Shift plus goes down the list, Shift minus goes up the list. So as I pressed Shift plus, it's going through the blending modes and I can find the one that really blends that blue in with the original image. So for me, I'm going to use darker color. So here we've colorized the coat, and the great thing about it is that the image is still in its original black and white state. We've just simply added a hue saturation adjustment layer to color the coat. The other great thing about this is if I want to change the color, maybe I don't want blue, I can double click here, open the properties, and just by changing the hue slider, I can change the color of the coat to something else. Maybe I want green, and then I can also experiment with the blending modes. So once you've colorized a portion of the image, you simply repeat the process. In the next video, I'll show you how to use the quick mask mode to create a selection, and I'll use that mode to select the pants.